in the book Song for the Blue Ocean by Carl Safina, he expressed it very nicely there. He was talking with these two ladies about it, and they said that money comes from the conversion of natural resources into usable goods. And I like that because it's just a very simple way of thinking about what is money. It's a proxy. It's a social contract, in a sense, an agreement to value the collateral, if you will, that is contained in productive capability. And so sort of along with what is money, you can ask, well, what is debt? And debt is an obligation on that collateral, on that productive capability. And this is what to me is concerning, is that there's more kinds of debt than just financial debt. We could look at agricultural productivity or aquifer levels as a bank, and how we're doing is characterized by where those systems are. So enough of the problem language. I want to move heavy into the opportunity side of it, and summarize sort of the three ethics that the founders of permaculture created to remind us that we're part of nature and that we're all in this together. And those ethics are care for the earth, care for people, and share the surplus. Just real simple three things to think about in terms of just almost like a daily meditation of what you do. I want to, by sort of segue here, talk about an ecosystem example. The homely mole. What does a mole do when he's not digging giant holes in the middle of the Amazon? So he eats grubs and worms in the soil. It passes urine and feces. It reproduces. It might get eaten. Eventually it dies after a long life tunneling in your yard. Most folks generally view moles as a pest, but how does an ecosystem view that mole? Well, let's take the digging. That digging aerates the soil, which also incorporates organic matter, so facilitating plant growth, bringing food for its prey down to where the worms will eat it. So in a sense, he's kind of farming the worms. On the surface, that mole mound provides a competition-free zone where plants can establish, i.e. the weeds that we don't like. But nature has plans for those plants. That's a weed's just a plant in the wrong place. The mole eats grubs and worms. It's part of the food chain. If it didn't eat those grubs and worms, what would happen? The cycling of organic matter would be vastly different. I don't have the figures in my head, but the amount of organic matter that passes through worms is just astounding. This example is replicated across ecosystems time and time again. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think of all the relationships that we just created for the mole, and then we multiply that times all the species in an ecosystem. Wow, that's starting to get complicated. There's a really good quote by a fellow by the name of Frank Egler, who worked with Rachel Carson on Silent Spring, and he said, not only are ecosystems more complicated than we think, they may be more complicated than we can think. And I think that does a really nice job of expressing this plan for intelligent tinkering, as Aldo Leopold described it, which is essentially what we're doing.